Hey, welcome, my friends, to this week's captivating episode on Motivational Moments with Maria. I'm your high performance coach, Maria, and I'm here every week to bring you thoughts on inspiration, motivation, positivity, having a great attitude. And I've been doing something different every week. I'm bringing on special guests because, as you know, some of you get tired of listening to me. And I thought, let's highlight people that have amazing stories of resilience, of courage, and what they've done within their own lives to pick themselves back up from things that happened to them in their life. So every week now, I'm bringing you a special guest, and this week is no exception. I'm bringing in Jude Monteserrato. Jude Monteserrato, she is from New York originally, so you will hear the accent, and it's a beautiful one. But she's now living in North Carolina, and Jude is a health and wellness coach, and she is also a yoga instructor. And so, with health and wellness, she looks at the a holistic view of people and what they can do to improve the wellness and health of their own lives. So, I'm really excited that Jude is joining us today. Miss Jude, welcome to Motivational Moments with Maria. And I'm thoroughly thrilled that you have joined us today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am thrilled to be here, Maria. And thank you for
I
your lovely introduction.
Oh, I'm hoping it just captivates the beauty that is you. So I wanted to now Jude has a very it is a very heartbreaking story, but it is a story of love. It is a story of courage. It is a story of how important it is to have a good mindset. So, Jude, please tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Okay, as you mentioned, I was born and raised in New York, so I'm a New Yorker deep down in my heart. And I worked in the corporate world for 20 years. I constantly call myself an Italopino because I'm half Italian and half Filipino. I'm one of eight, technically. I usually say one of seven siblings. My oldest sister died when she was probably about 6 months old. So we've always
Mm.
gone by, we're seven of us, four brothers and two lovely sisters. And yeah, now I live in North Carolina, which I never ever imagined, but I love it here.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, you were in corporate and then you decided to make some sort of shift in your life. What triggered that?
Um, well, I got a couple of different knocks on the door, right? So to speak. However, it was one that definitely was the catalyst for me to make a shift. And I'll share a little story about it. And it was a beautiful September day in 2001. And John and I, the love of my life, who I was with for 15 years, we were getting ready for work in our apartment in Brooklyn, New York. And we passed each other, and I looked at him and I said, "Let's play hooky." And he said, "We have 2 more weeks and we're going on vacation." And so we proceeded from Brooklyn to New York City on the express bus, like we always did. A normal day. We exchanged I love yous and hugs and proceeded to our corporate offices. I was at my desk, emails, right into the corporate world, right? And then I heard this loud, thunderous noise. And I thought, how could that possibly be on this crystal clear, blue sky September day? I proceeded down 45 flights of stairs. They were saying on the intercom to stay at your desk. My feet froze in the New York City cement. My eyes froze as I gazed at the World Trade Center up in flames. My heart froze, knowing he was in there. It was 14 months of crying, compromising, clinging. And it was November of 2002. I looked at myself in the mirror, lifeless eyes, and said to myself, you have to change. You have to begin to heal. And so it began. I slowly climbed out and gathered up the tools I never imagined using, like meditation and yoga. Beginning to take care of myself, eating well, sleeping. And of course, this is a process, Maria. It didn't happen overnight. And I went from darkness to light, from being and living unhealthy to healthy, from only seeing impossibility to possibility. So now my mission, because my mission is to help others thrive in life again and live their life fully and not merely survive.
Not merely survive. And when you were telling that story, you know, all the hairs on my arms just rose because we all remember that September day. Many of us that were here remember that September day, and we can remember what we were doing. And I cannot even imagine on that September 11th day the devastation that you must have felt. And yet, you knew that it was time for you to rise above, stand above the grief, and move your life forward.
Yeah.
How did you do that? How did you do that?
Going back to your question of why I'm a yoga instructor, when I made that decision in the bathroom that day, right? You make a decision, you make a choice, things start showing up. And then it's to start taking the actions. So I got this feeling, in the city, there was a friend of mine called me philosophy school, and it was about living. And so I'm like, okay, I'll do that. Right. At this point, I was open to trying anything because something had to help me get out of this non-living,
Cement.
out of the
Get
cement.
out of the cement. Yeah.
And then I got this feeling of do yoga. And I was like, no, I really had this conversation with myself. I'm like, I'm not doing yoga. I had this perception of sitting in a room with a bunch of people going home. And I thought, how is yoga going to help me? Though I said, okay, let's give it a shot. Nothing could be more painful than what I'm feeling and what I've gone through. So I'll go do yoga. And I went, and when I was on that mat, first of all, when I went to class, I was dressed in black, dark colors, hood over my head, sat way in the back so nobody can see me. And the teacher was excellent. He left me alone. And what I realized when the practice was done, because I didn't know yoga, right? And when the practice was done, as I learned to say, I realized that for that hour or hour and a half, the story, the repetitive what ifs stopped for that time. And then I realized blockages I was holding in my body physically and how yoga was releasing it. I mean, there's so many steps to it. And I got drawn in. I got drawn in and said, I got to keep doing this. And so that's what I did, because it made me become aware of my thoughts, my body, what I was eating or what I was not eating, because I really wasn't eating. I'm a petite person, and I dropped some weight because I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping. This is what grief does
Mhm.
to me. That's what it did to me. So I became aware and started making tiny baby steps, I call them, um, of what I was eating, changing my lifestyle because I was honestly drinking a lot. That's what I
Well,
leaned
you self-medicate, right? That's what happens. We look for something to self-medicate, whether it's alcohol, drugs. Some people, for me, it's food. Like, oh, I can't get stressed out. I
into.
tend to put something on. We each find our own, as I call it, our own medicine.
Mhm.
But what I love what you said is you became aware, and we know that in life, awareness is the first step to any change. And you became aware of it and you said, okay, I have to make a choice. And so in the choices that you made were one, you could have chosen to stay in the dark space, but Jude, you knew that I have a dream for a different life, right? And so you were inspired after you went to yoga to pursue a different course of action, right? And you had to overcome significant obstacles, didn't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I decided to leave the corporate world and take care of myself. That became my full-time job. That became my job. People were asking me, what am I going to do? Where am I going to work? Of course, New York is that high intensity, and I was like that. And are you going to travel? And I said, absolutely not. I will never get on a plane. I can't even imagine getting on a plane. Um, but things happen and things change, and I made that decision. And yoga, it wasn't when I started practicing, it was, I'm going to teach yoga because, Maria, I did not want to teach. I did not want to speak in front of people.
Right, right. And look at you now. Your life has changed significantly, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
And share with us some of the lessons that you learned along the way that you would like to share with others, because there's so many.
Well, there are so many. And one is the mindset, because I had Hodgkin's disease when I was 28 years old. And it was 1980, 89. So you can figure out my
Mhm.
age now. I had Hodgkin's, and I remember when I spoke to the doctor who diagnosed me and told me
Mhm.
I had Hodgkin's. It was a form of cancer. Um, he said, the mindset, your mindset will matter. And that stuck with me. And not that I was a negative person by any means, but that I carry that throughout my life. And then when this happened, when John died, and I was slowly picking myself back up, it was an anchor for me of my mindset will matter through this. I could go down
Mhm.
this road and say, oh my God, what happened? Why did he die? What happened to our life? What happened to my life? And just stay there. Or I could go down
Mhm.
this road and say, what can I learn from this? And how can I shift it into a positive way of living?
Mhm.
So mindset definitely matters. Um, being acceptable of who I was becoming. People knew me a certain way.
Mm.
People knew me as a couple. People knew me with a certain personality. People knew me as, let's go out and have a few drinks. And I was making some changes. And so being okay with that, being okay with living a healthier lifestyle, right? Doing yoga, right? Practicing yoga. So it was that. Um, and also too, there's so many pieces of it, of accepting the roller coaster of grief to this day.
Hmm.
This day, I'll be totally honest, right? Um, that it comes in waves, and it can feel that I don't feel like I'm back to the day that it happened ever, but there's sometimes this really heart-wrenching emptiness
Of course.
that I miss him.
Of course.
Though on the flip side of that, and I trust your audience will not take this in any other way but from my heart, that John John gave me a huge gift through his death.
Hmm.
And of course with my choice, but the opportunity to go spread your wings, get out of the corporate world and go find yourself.
No, that is truly a gift. And sometimes we don't know it at the time, now do we? It's just you're in such grief and you want to just have a pity party and you want to just lay in bed with the blankets over your head. And yet what I love what you said is he gave me a gift to go spread your wings, go live your life, go share the gifts that you have with others. And I took it exactly the way you said it. He gave you a gift. Change your life, my love. There's more to life than this. And don't live in the sorrow. So the fact that you having Hodgkin's disease when you were young, I didn't even calculate the age, girl, so don't even worry about it. But that you knew that the mindset, and I can relate because, as you know, I've had cancer twice, and it was the same thing. The first time is, 39 years old. And I was like, oh, what is this? But the mindset, I can choose to feel sorry for myself, or I can choose to get ready and be ready for when this occurs and to get myself healthy. Right. So what you've done, you've transformed your life. And now let's hear the goodness. What have you done with your life since then? Tell us.
So I was felt in my heart to become a yoga instructor, and I dove deep into training and becoming the best possible yoga instructor I can be. I have over 2,000 hours of training. I have extensive training in yoga therapy. Um, and I have remarried. I met a fabulous man who accepts John as well. So I met him in my travels to Thailand when we went
So
over
you
to
did get on a plane. You did get on a plane
I
again.
got on a plane actually in 2003. I had left my job in 2003, and friends of mine asked if I wanted to go to Vegas. And I'm like, okay, all right. And that was a process
Hmm.
to be on a plane. And there was a big snowstorm in New York City. And my sister called me and she said, I just want you to know there's a huge snowstorm. You're supposed to be coming home tomorrow. And I looked at my friends and I said, I don't have anything to go home to. And so we ended up traveling some more. And and that began my travels. So yes, I did some traveling by myself, and then ended up going to Thailand to study Thai massage, and met Ed Connell, who um, is now my husband. And so it's that message that you can love again. And it took me a very long time,
Mhm.
a very long time. He was very, very patient with me. I made no promises. Um, so yes, I remarried. I teach yoga. I love it. I love helping people um, live fully again, healthy, have fun, have fun in life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love, I mean, it's just such a impactful story. I mean, I know it's very difficult, but you talk about it and you share your story because your message is one of strength, of one of resilience. It is a story of courage and fighting back. Even when you were in the darkness, you knew that there was so much more. So, what trends do you find most exciting about your yoga and health and wellness business?
For, for my business, it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. And and leaning more and more into helping those that are grieving and in that devastation of thinking they can't live again, guiding them, supporting them in their journey.
Hmm.
That's the trend that I envision and hold dearly in my heart. Because my
Beautiful.
story is not anything special than any other anybody's stories. We all lose people. We all go through it. It's the choice that we make, and I
Right.
want to be um, there for someone.
Right. You want to be there to have someone lean on you at times of crisis, grief, and you just it's just it's an incredible recovery for you, if you will, because you had to recover from so much devastation. And I'm honored that you joined in today to tell us and share your story with us. So I always like to finish up with a little lightness on a question is if a genie came down and granted you three wishes today, what would those wishes, what would you wish for?
I love this question, Maria. It's fun. It's fun, and it's also that dream and imagination.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
one would be to have my husband Ed, who's a phenomenal physical therapist and Thai massage therapist, um, to not have to work full time
Okay.
and pursue his mission in helping men with recovery from addiction, um, full time. On him
Hmm.
follow his mission. Second, the genie for me and my husband to take our families on a huge family vacation together.
Beautiful.
We both, I have a huge family. His family isn't as large, but it would just be wonderful just to have that fun time together, and have it, of course, that we pay for it all for everyone. And then the third,
Make it happen then, girl.
I'm working on it. And the third is to return to Cambodia to visit this now young adult that we sponsor that I met when she was 4 years old. I did a challenge in the yoga community to raise money for this organization, and I met her. She was 4 years old, and I still keep in touch with her. My husband met her when he went a couple of years later. She's almost now 22 years old, and I haven't seen her physically since then. And I promise her I will get there to be with her. So those
Beautiful.
are
I
my
love that.
We do.
Good, good. I love that. That's awesome. And Jude, quick question. If somebody wants to reach out to you, how do they reach you?
My website
Mhm.
is www.judemonteserrato, and I can spell that .com. And then there's a form to fill out, and I'll be happy to respond with any question.
Okay, Jude Monteserrato. I love that. And it's going to be in the text of the podcast. So I'll make sure it's on the summary of it that it's spelled correctly, and I appreciate it. Jude, I cannot thank you enough for being with us today. And my friends, you know someone needs to hear this message. So go ahead and share this with someone that you know that may be having a difficult time in their life, because it is our job to lift others up, to inspire others, to encourage them whenever they're having a difficult time. So go ahead and share it. And as always, my friends, you know, I'm going to tell you this: stay focused, stay positive, always have fun. And no matter what you choose to be, do, or have, do it with passion. And I will talk to you all next week.